announced the DOGE task force. So how will this task force decide what government spending is unnecessary and should be cut?
I'm sorry, there was some traffic. Can you repeat?
You announced the DOGE task force. So how will the government decide? Sorry, how will this task force decide what government spending is unnecessary?
Okay, so the question is, how are we going to decide what's necessary, what's unnecessary? So with the state agencies, what we've been doing this anyways. So for example, we police every contract over a certain amount, and if there's any DEI or anything slipped in, we stop it. There's other things that we do to do that. So that's us with our people in our budget office that go through these agencies. So that we do that as a matter of course. We're able to stop things. Sometimes we have to cancel. So that happens. But what they're doing federally is they're using technology and artificial intelligence to be able to review payments and all these other things. We have not, this is pretty new technology, so we want to apply that technology to our auditing efforts for our state agencies. Maybe it's not going to lead to a lot. Maybe it can help us find things that is harder when you're just doing normal stuff. Now, we've done a good job, but I think this lets us do better. So if we find a contract, and I don't think it would be that there is DEI by name, but I think what they could do is try to reframe it, call it something else, and put it in. And to the naked eye, that may be more difficult to see, but in AI, they may be able to flag it and do that. So that'll be one thing that we're doing. The other thing we're doing is we're doing full audits of our state university system. We want to know how much administrative bloat is there, how many courses are being offered that is like ideological studies and we can just do away with, how many of this. So this really needs to be done. We've put in, with the legislature and me supporting, we've increased the money to our universities dramatically over the last 6 years. I mean, a lot. Definitely by 50%. Some say it's been close to double. I'd have to go back and look, but it's been a big increase. Now, your kids and grandkids, if they live in Florida, they pay $6,300 for in-state tuition. That's the lowest in the United States, and we're proud of that. Bright Futures, you can pay 0 or 75% off, depending on where you do. We even have the ability for out-of-state students to qualify for in-state tuition if their grandparent is a Florida resident. Now, they have to be good students and meet certain things, but that's a great perk. So we're happy to offer all that. We're happy to have not raised tuition, and we've provided funding, and our university's done well, but we need to make sure that we just don't have bloat run amok. And the one thing I know nationally, and maybe Florida has avoided this, we're going to find out, but if you look when they started really pumping in a lot of student loan money decades ago, it didn't increase the quality of the education. What it did is, if you look at the administrative bloat, as more loan money got put, that more administrative staff. Now, I don't think those administrative staff are increasing the academic experience. I don't think that they're helping students learn better in the classroom. I think it's tangential items. And so we want to look at that. We also want to look at, we were the first state in America to abolish DEI in our public university systems. So these offices were disbanded, but I want to know, where did those employees go? Are they burrowed into other things? Are they doing DEI under another name? If that's the case, you have a right to know that, and then we have a responsibility to end that. So I think the universities is going to be really, really significant, and we look forward to doing that. And then, with my executive order, they are going to be conducting audits of local governments based on publicly available information. But I also think that we want to have, and it'll be like for a year, not forever, but like an ability to go in and audit. I mean, I look at some of these governments, whether it's Alachua, Broward, some of them, you've got a lot of problems with how these things are being managed. And people are being taxed to high heaven, particularly with property taxes, which is another thing we're going to give relief on. Because, you buy a home for $250,000, and then 10 years later, someone assesses it at $800,000. Even if you have homestead, you're still paying more. It can't protect you against all that. So people are really getting pinched by the property taxes, and especially elderly on fixed income. It's like they bought land, they bought a house. Many of them just paid off a mortgage because they didn't buy their home outright. And so now they're just living in freedom, except they have to cut a check to the government every year, just basically paying rent to live on their own property. And so that has really pinched a lot of people. People need relief from that. Now, we can't just do that through normal legislation. We would need to put something on the ballot for 2026. And so we're working on that. And we're doing analysis studies. We're doing all that. But I can tell you there's going to be something on the ballot that is going to give Floridians an opportunity to vote themselves relief from what property taxes have done to them. I think it's really, really important, and I think it's part of a whole 9 yards. But, you know, some local governments are better than others. I can guarantee you, I can show you examples in Florida where you've had a massive increase in spending over the last 6 to 8 years. But not necessarily an increase in the services provided in a meaningful way. And again, it varies by different counties in the state, but I do think it will be helpful for folks. And, you know, what I found is in certain parts of the state, you know, the media is more partisan left, so they don't really even cover some of this stuff that has to do with local government for some of these areas, which I think is a big mistake. So we're going to have DOGE. We're going to be able to make a difference. So there's going to be a lot. And so on the initial review, we put out that they're already exposing some of this, you know, $777,000 for equity training or something like that in this county. It's like, okay, do you want to pay property taxes to fund that training? There's other things that are done, and you just kind of scratch your head. So I think people are sensitive to how government spends money right now more than they have been in more recent years. Lord knows, I mean, COVID was a massive gusher. There was a lot of waste there. But now people, I think, are attuned to it because I think they've seen the debt balloon nationally. I think they realize that change needs to be made. But I think that's for all levels of government. So we want to do it. We want to make a difference. And as I said, I've talked about what we've done being DOGE. DOGE was cool. That means we have taken efforts in Florida to do this, reduce government, reduce spending. That has been done anyways. But I think these new tools can really help us. So, okay, enough of that. Now's the time. I think we're going to move back here. I know the media is going to move over to be able to snap some photos. Is it raining a little bit outside? It's not raining, so you guys are good. And so we're going to be over here. We're going to do the initial dig, and we will call it a day. So thanks, everybody.